of 5 things that soccer can do to make it an American sport. Because in the pantheon of American sports, soccer probably ranks below golf and tennis and NASCAR, which is pretty low. Now, NASCAR is actually, depending on where you are in the country, can get up there in the ranks, but my consideration of the top sports would be football, basketball, baseball, hockey, then those other ones in a row. So soccer, you're what, 8, 9? If you want to inch your way back up, I've got some suggestions for you. A few rule tweaks, a few things here and there, just to make you a little bit more competitive in American sports viewers. So let's start off with number 1. Get rid of the offsides. I mean, what are you doing? People are like, well, then you'd have players cherry picking. Who cares? If the offensive players are farther down the field, then the defensive players go farther down the field. Then you open up the middle of the field. You don't get stuck staying in the middle of the field. Plus, I bet you'd have an average of 2 more goals per game due to the no offsides rule.
Okay. But then, I mean, other sports do similar. Well, I guess no, because no one prevents you from going forward that much. So
yeah, and I like to compare it to basketball. You can cherry pick in basketball. You can leave one offensive player down there the whole time if you want. And yeah, every now and then he will get a long pass to him. But I bet you what would happen more is that since you only have 4 players back on defense, you get screwed more than you would.
Yeah,
would help.
It just changes what you consider for your strategy. Like, do you think your defense can deal with it, or do you think that is it worth it, or not? Whatever. Although
definitely
in soccer, I would see it. Yeah, in soccer, I would see it though. Probably they wouldn't try and send it down the field. Like, the whole idea, the concern about cherry picking doesn't seem as big a deal as it was in like basketball, because you have a goalkeeper still down there.
Yeah,
I
mean, but if you see one offensive player down there, you're going to have another defensive player down there with them. Again, you open up the middle of the field, you create more flow back and forth. It gets a little more exciting, and Americans would watch it more. And you probably wouldn't have these stupid 0-0 games.
Yeah, I think you might still have those 0-0 games, but
you might. But it'd be more rare. So that's one thing. Let's move it on to number 2, and that is abolish the tie. I mean, just get rid of it already, because you have a good way to end the games. Your overtime structure is pretty cool. I like the 2 overtime halves. And then your shootout, that's one of the most exciting things in your sport. Why hide it away for only tournaments? I mean, push it out there. Hockey, they got a big boost when they abolished the tie. After 1 overtime, you go straight to the shootout. So that is a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more competitive. You really get to separate the good teams from the bad teams, because a lot of times in soccer, you'll have whoever the home team is just play defense, want to go for the tie because the other team coming in is way better and they're crappy, and then you have a 0-0 game, and it's no fun to watch. Yeah. Plus, ties are like kissing your sister. Doesn't count.
And we've talked about this before, that some of those bigger sports in the U.S. have ties as well, but they happen so rarely because of the structure of the games. Like football can have a tie. It can. Yeah, it doesn't happen often, though.
But also, they don't have 0-0 games going into the overtime usually. It's usually they've scored a couple times each side.
How things work out. It's very rare to get a tie. It's very rare to get 0-0 games. It's not the same as what's going on in soccer, for instance. Basketball, like it's difficult to get a game tied up like that.
Well, I mean, but then they keep going in overtime and overtime and overtime. They won't end a game in a tie in basketball ever. Yeah. They'll just keep playing until someone wins. So, I mean, again, it makes it more exciting in my opinion. It makes you feel more of a conclusive result, and people just like to see that more. So, yeah, get rid of that tie. Let's go on to number 4. And this is one that I think would really just improve the pace of play with the game. Allow more than 3 substitutes per game. Because in soccer, all you get to do is each side has 3 substitutes. Doesn't matter if you go into overtime, if you go into shootouts, doesn't matter. You only get 3 total substitutions per game. If you make it like 5 to 6 substitutions per game, yeah, maybe it slows down the play a little bit. But what it's going to do is it's going to keep the players fresher on the field. You're going to see more exciting plays all throughout the game, not just in the beginning couple minutes and then the end couple minutes. It's going to make it more exciting, and it would allow the coaches to use a little bit more strategy. One of the things that you don't get is you don't get these coaches like you do in basketball or football. They get to talk to their players more. They get to say, hey, I see this is happening right now. Go out there and do this to counteract it. You get a lot of that, especially in football, the way they substitute in between plays sometimes.
Mhm.
And it really would be more of a back and forth, and I just think it would make the game a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
So.
And it also just adds another event to happen during the game. I would say, because big soccer fans, they understand what's going on. They like the flow of the game and watching the flow of the game, even when nothing's going on. But if you want to appeal to a wider audience, you have to break up that just back and forth and have something going on.
Even the substitutions wouldn't really break up that flow because they don't really stop it too much to get the
That's
substitutions.
what I'm saying. Like, you have to have some event happen, like something that shows something other than just going back and forth.
Yeah. And so that brings us on to number 5, which actually is very, very closely related, and that is give each team a timeout per half. There are no timeouts in soccer as far as I'm aware of. The only time you really stop play is when somebody falls down. Yeah, did I skip number 3?
Probably.
I did skip number 3, didn't I?
Yeah.
So, if you'd like to teach me how to count, hit me up at Words My Face on Twitter. I did skip number 3, but we'll go with number 5 right now, and then I'll go back to number 3. So that is give each team a timeout. It'll really improve, again, like I said, with the substitutions. It'll help improve strategy. It'll give people a little bit of a break in between. So, each team gets one timeout. It can only be 30 seconds to a minute. Really will not impede play that much. Maybe they could catch the clock up properly instead of having to go to stoppage time every half. And I think it might make it a little more interesting. Plus, us Americans, we need our pee and snack breaks. We need them. You don't get enough.
I don't know about this one. And this is one I don't know if it would really help that much, because I think that the no timeout time, like, yeah, you don't get to go up and get up and pee as much and all that stuff, but the no timeout rule helps. It keeps the game going and flowing. Like, one of the complaints that is sometimes raised about some of the bigger American sports is how, especially towards the end, the last minute drags out to 5 minutes, whatever.
Especially in basketball, the last 30 seconds can take you like 30 minutes. That is true. And I'm not saying give them a lot of timeouts, just one timeout each team per half. Minute timeout.
I do kind of admire that these guys are running back and forth for that long.
They're not all running back and forth. Half the time they're standing there, please.
All right, but they're in play. Like, they have to keep on their toes. I don't know. I kind of like that they don't have timeouts. It does add something, some integrity to the game that is not seen, something different that is not seen, that I think does keep the excitement up. I understand we want to get a break, and it does make it very different from football, for instance, where there's a break every few seconds.
Yeah, but football is a little more physical. I'd like to see soccer players be able to run up and down the field when they're getting hit every single play. I mean, when you get hit, the wind. All right, we're not getting into that right now. We're not. We're almost at our 50-minute mark, and I do not want to go into 10 days. So, but yeah. So as I've taught you how to count here at Words to My Face Counting, it goes 1, 2, 4, 5, 3. So number 3 will be cut down on the flopping. Aaron Robin. It really is embarrassing to see people constantly falling on the ground, flying through the air, holding their knee, crying like little babies on the ground, and then they show a replay, and you weren't even touched. I'm tired of seeing it. Cut it out. Now, other sports do flopping. Basketball, there's flopping in there, but those guys get fined $5,000 to $10,000 if it's an egregious flop. So find some people, cut it down. I mean, every now and then, all right, whatever. But it's just ridiculous. I mean, who was that guy? Schweinsteiger, I believe, from Germany, extended the World Cup by like 4 minutes. Just because he kept flopping at the end. I mean, literally, the announcers even said it. They're like, oh, someone's down. We don't even have to look. It's Schweinsteiger. Oh, wait, it was Schweinsteiger. It's just ridiculous. I'm tired of seeing these soccer players crying on the ground and nothing's happened.
And that is something that I think that the entire world is a little sick of. It is because of how it helps the competitive edge. it's kind of accepted that that's what happens, but no one really likes it. No one
Yeah,
does.
it's kind of, it just takes away a lot of the athletic sporting
Yeah.
part of it.
Although
So
to some
I just
extent, you gotta question like, what are you gonna do about it? This is the
you're gonna
players
find
doing
them.
it.
Like I said, you're gonna find them,
Yeah,
just like
you
they
can
do in
find them,
basketball.
but once it gets to something like the World Cup, if like those players don't care, like you find them all day long. Um,
I'm sure if they started seeing $10,000 come out of their pockets, yeah, that's like toilet paper to some of those guys. But once they start seeing that money coming out of their accounts on a consistent basis, I'm pretty sure it'll slow them down.
yeah, well, it might at least slow them down for like club play or out at the U.S. league level, which is what we would really want are talking about increasing popularity for. So yeah, that
Yeah,
might
yeah. So,
might do something.
but yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna throw in a number 6 because I just thought about this on the fly. The final thing that soccer can do to make Americans love it more is go ahead and have the world accept that it is soccer and not football. It is soccer. Let's just go ahead and throw football only to us. We don't need to say American football anymore. It's just football, and then the rest of the world accept that you're playing soccer. You're not playing football. You're playing soccer. That was my
The way to
that was
really
my
make that
five
one
picks that turned
happen,
into 6.
the real way to make that one happen.
America take
Chewbacca
over the world.
chainsaws.
Chewbacca chainsaws. That is the solution. As long as I can get Chewie behind this initiative, I think it'll happen within minutes. Minutes. I mean, once he sets his mind on something, things change. So, but yeah, so that was turned out to be 6 ways to change soccer. If you have any ideas of ways that we could change soccer to make Americans like it a little bit more, or you just think my ideas were stupid, let us know. Comments down below at Words for My Face on Twitter, wordsformyface@gmail.com, of course Google Plus and Facebook. So hit us up, let us know what you think. But yep.